They said the horse was cursed. 30 men had tried to break him. 30 men had failed. Some walked away with broken bones. Some never walked again. And still, the black stallion stood in a sun-scorched corral at the far edge of the largest ranch in the territory, muscles tight as wire, eyes burning with a kind of fury that dared the world to come closer. His coat was dark as night, his mane wild and untamed, and his hooves struck the dirt like warnings. His name was Brimstone. The ranch belonged to Reed Coulter, the richest rancher for miles in every direction. He owned more land than some towns, yet he lived alone in a quiet house that felt more like a shelter than a home. Coulter was a tall man, broad-shouldered, built from hard years and harder choices. He spoke little, trusted less, and carried his past like a weight he never set down. Coulter did not believe in curses. He believed in patterns, and the pattern was clear. Every man who stepped into Brimstone's corral believing strength meant force had paid the price. Brimstone was not for sale. Not because Coulter loved the horse, but because selling him felt like surrender, like admitting that fear had won. The day the train hissed into town, dragging steam and dust behind it, no one expected anything to change. Men gathered for mail and supplies. A few leaned against the saloon wall, already drinking, watching strangers come and go like passing weather. Then she stepped off the train. She was not loud. She did not rush. She wore a plain white cotton dress, worn thin from travel, the hem stained with dust. She carried one small bag and held a folded letter tight against her chest, as if it were the only thing keeping her steady. Her eyes were calm but tired, the kind of tired that came from surviving too much without ever feeling safe. Her name was Emma. The men noticed her immediately. They always did. A mail-order bride, they guessed. Too small. Too quiet. Someone who would learn her place fast. Smirks passed between them like shared jokes. Emma did not slow. She did not look at them. She walked straight toward the tall man waiting near the platform, arms crossed, hat low, face carved from stone. "Are you Mr. Coulter?" she asked. Reed Coulter studied her longer than polite. He had expected someone different, someone louder, someone desperate. Someone who would try to impress him. "I didn't think you'd actually come," he said. Emma looked past him toward the dry hills stretching into the distance, dust lifting slowly in the heat. "Neither did I." That was the beginning. Coulter had not wanted a wife. He wanted help. Someone to cook, clean, and stay out of his way. That was what the letter said. No promises, no soft words, just honesty. And honesty was all he believed he could offer. What he got instead was a woman who woke before dawn and worked until the light faded. She asked no questions and made no demands. She unpacked her small bag, folded her one good dress, and stepped into ranch life like someone who had learned long ago how to survive quietly. On her second day, Brimstone nearly killed the stable boy. The horse slammed the young man into the fence, teeth snapping inches from his face. Men shouted. Ropes flew. Dust filled the air. Emma stood frozen at the barn door, her breath caught in her chest, watching not the violence, but the terror in the horse's eyes. That night, Reed Coulter sat alone on the porch, staring at the stars as they appeared one by one, like slow sparks in the dark. Emma stepped outside and stood beside him, keeping a careful distance. "I want to try with him," she said. Coulter turned sharply. "You've seen what that horse does to grown men." "I've seen worse," Emma said softly. "He isn't angry. He's terrified." Coulter let out a short laugh. "That horse is mean." "No," she said. "Someone taught him to be afraid." Coulter studied her face in the low light. "Why do you care?" Quote, Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice steady but low. "Because I know what it's like to be touched wrong, to be told to obey or be broken. I know what it's like when people look at you like you're dangerous just because you're hurting." Coulter had no answer. He had buried his own pain too deep for words. The next morning, Emma stood at the corral. No rope, No saddle, no stick. Brimstone charged the fence with enough force to shake the rails. He screamed, reared, struck the dirt hard enough to send dust into the air. Emma did not move. Her hands trembled, but her feet stayed planted. She whispered something under her breath, not to the horse, but to herself. Every day she came back. Every day Brimstone tested her. And every day she stayed. She did not reach for him. She did not demand obedience. She simply let him see her without fear. Reed Coulter watched. At first from curiosity, then concern, then something deeper he did not yet understand. He noticed the way Emma's hands tightened when the horse rushed her, though she never stepped back. He noticed how loud sounds made her flinch, how she favored one shoulder when lifting buckets. This was not just about a horse. Emma was fighting something of her own. One night, over burned beans and long silence, Coulter asked, "Why did you really come here?" Emma kept her eyes on her plate. "Because I was tired of being afraid." She did not explain further. Coulter did not press. Days turned into weeks. Brimstone stopped charging the fence. He began standing closer, watching her, curious. Emma began humming as she worked. Soft tunes meant to calm frightened things. Coulter found himself bringing her extra firewood at night, fixing loose shutters without being asked, clearing muddy paths after rain. One morning, Emma stepped into the corral. Coulter froze. "No rope," he called. "No need," she said. She crouched in the dirt and hummed. Brimstone took one step, then another. When his nose brushed her shoulder, Emma closed her eyes. A tear slid down her cheek, but she did not move. Later that night she said quietly, "People don't need to be broken. They need someone to stay." Those words struck Coulter harder than any blow. A week later, Brimstone let her mount him. Bareback, no reins. The ranch went silent. But silence never lasts. Whispers began. Jealous ones, bitter ones. And one man listened too closely. His name was Jake. By morning, the air felt wrong. That night, Brimstone's gate was left open. And everything began to unravel. Emma did not come down for breakfast the next morning. The kitchen stayed quiet. The stove stayed cold. Reed Coulter sat at the table longer than he needed to, staring at the empty chair across from him. He told himself she was tired. He told himself she needed space. But the silence felt heavier than that, like something had cracked and not yet settled. Outside, the ranch felt wrong. The wind moved in sharp bursts, kicking dust against the buildings. Horses shifted restlessly in their pens. Even the chickens stayed close to the coop, uneasy. In the far corral, Brimstone paced back and forth, ears pinned, breath loud and uneven. He had not calmed since the night before. Fear still clung to him. Coulter pulled on his jacket and headed toward the barn. He found Jake there, yanking a saddle strap tight with more force than needed. The man's jaw was clenched, his movements rough, like he was working out anger instead of doing a job. "You left the gate open," Coulter said. Jake did not look up. "Lots of gates on this ranch." Coulter stepped closer. "You were the last one near Brimstone's pen." Jake finally turned, eyes hard. "You got proof?" Coulter's voice stayed flat. "I don't need proof." Jake laughed, short and bitter. "She's got you fooled. You really think she's here for that horse? Or you?" Coulter took another step forward. "You pack your things. You're done here." Jake's face darkened. "You'll regret this." "Leave," Coulter said. Jake left before noon. No goodbyes, no apologies, just dust and anger trailing behind him. But the damage he caused did not leave with him. It settled into the ranch like smoke after a fire. By afternoon, men from town began showing up again, leaning on fences, pretending not to stare, whispering about the woman who rode the cursed horse. Coulter hated the way they looked at her, like she was something to be tested or claimed. Emma stayed gone all day. As the sun dropped low, Coulter finally saw her far beyond the south fence. She was walking Brimstone toward the dry riverbed, moving slow, steady, her hand loose at his neck. She was not riding him. She was walking beside him like an equal. Coulter followed at a distance. He watched her sit beneath a wide sycamore tree, leaning her back against the trunk. Brimstone stood close, his body angled toward her, guarding. Emma closed her eyes, exhaustion written across her face. Coulter did not interrupt. He turned back and sat on the porch until the stars came out. The next morning, the fair arrived. Tents rose at the edge of town, music drifted on the wind, laughter, shouting, dust, and bright colors filled the air. Horse traders came from far places, their eyes sharp, their smiles sharper. Gambling tables appeared like weeds. Trouble followed close behind. Among them was a man named Lawson. Lawson wore clean boots and silver buttons. His smile stayed fixed, never reaching his eyes. He was known for breaking horses fast and ruining men quietly. When Lawson heard the talk about Emma and Brimstone, he did not laugh. He listened. Then he rode straight to Coulter's ranch. "So this is her," Lawson said, looking Emma up and down like a piece of land. "The woman who rides the devil." Emma said nothing. Lawson turned to Coulter. "I've got a proposition. Let her ride the horse tonight. 5 minutes in the arena. If she stays on, I'll clear your North Pasture debt. If she doesn't," his smile widened, "she comes work for me." Coulter's blood burned. "No." Emma stepped forward. "I'll do it." Coulter turned sharply. "You don't have to prove anything." "This isn't about proving," Emma said. "It's about choosing." By sundown, the arena was packed. Men shouted bets. Women whispered behind gloved hands. Dust hung thick in the air. Emma stepped into the ring wearing a plain dress, her hair pulled back, her face calm. Brimstone stood restless, feeling the crowd press in on him. Emma pressed her forehead to his and whispered something only he could hear. Then she mounted. The gates slammed open. Brimstone reared high, his scream cutting through the noise. Gasps rose from the crowd. Emma did not pull or fight. She moved with him, breathing slow, body loose, trusting instead of forcing. 1 minute passed. Then 2. The crowd grew quiet. 3 minutes. 4. Brimstone slowed, sweat darkening his coat. His breath came heavy, but his eyes softened. At 5 minutes, Emma lifted one hand. Brimstone lowered his head. The arena exploded with noise. Coulter stood frozen, heart pounding, pride and fear twisting together. Emma dismounted and walked toward him, dust on her dress, eyes bright and steady. Lawson stepped forward. "Fair's fair," he said, "but I'll still pay double if she comes with me." Emma turned to Coulter. "You think I came here for money? For land?" Coulter shook his head. "No, I think you came here to be free." She stepped closer. "Then let me choose." "Stay," Coulter said, "for me." Before she could answer, Brimstone screamed. A snake flashed near the fence, scales catching the light. Brimstone bucked hard, broke free, and charged straight toward Lawson. People scattered. Lawson fell backward into the dirt, frozen. Emma ran. "Brimstone," she called, her voice cutting through the panic. "Look at me!" The stallion skidded to a stop inches from Lawson. Emma stepped between them, lifted her hand, and spoke softly. "Slow, calm, stay." Brimstone snorted, stamped once, then lowered his head. Silence fell over the arena. Emma led him away without looking back. That night, the ranch was quiet again. Later, Emma sat by the window, watching Brimstone graze under the moon. Doubt flickered in her eyes. Coulter found her there. "If I told you I wasn't the bride you wrote to," she said softly, "what would you do?" Coulter felt his chest tighten. "You're not Emma May." "She was my sister," Emma said. "She died in Missouri. I found your letter in her trunk. I came because I had nowhere else to go." Coulter listened, the weight of her words settling heavy. "I didn't come to fix you," Emma whispered. "I came to fix me." Coulter took her hand, rough and shaking. "Then stay." Outside, Brimstone breathed, calm and alive, and something fragile but real settled between them. The morning after Emma told the truth, the ranch woke to a quiet that felt different from before. It was not empty, it was settled. The sky stretched wide and pale blue, and the early light moved gently across the land, touching fences, barns, and open fields like it was learning the place for the first time. Reed Coulter stood at the stove longer than usual. He poured 2 cups of coffee and set one at the table across from his own. When Emma came in, her hair loose, her eyes tired but clear. She paused when she saw the second cup. She did not say anything. She just sat down. They drank in silence, but it was no longer the silence of distance. It was the silence of people choosing to stay. Outside, Brimstone grazed near the fence, his head low, his body relaxed. He still lifted his head at sudden sounds, still watched the world carefully, but the wild edge was gone. Emma watched him through the window and felt her chest loosen. For the first time in a long while, she was not waiting for something bad to happen. Jake never came back, his bunk stayed empty, his name stopped being spoken, but the story of the woman and the cursed horse did not fade. Instead, it grew. People began to arrive. Some came with horses no one else would touch. Animals that bit, kicked, screamed, or froze in terror. Others came alone. Men with anger written into their shoulders. Women with eyes that never rested. A few came with children who did not speak and flinched at every sound. Emma met them all at the gate. She never promised miracles. She never said she could fix anything. She asked for time. She asked for patience. She asked for honesty. And most of all, she asked for space. Coulter watched the ranch change slowly, the way land changes after rain. Gates stayed open, locks were removed, ropes were used less, voices grew quieter. Horses began to stand instead of fight. People began to breathe. One afternoon, Coulter found Emma sitting in the tall grass near the paddock, her face pale, her hands shaking slightly. Brimstone stood beside her, close enough that his shoulder brushed her arm. "He has scars," she said when Coulter sat down. "Whip marks, old ones. Someone hurt him badly." Coulter felt something twist hard in his stomach. "I thought he was born mean." "So did everyone," Emma said softly, "but fear looks like anger when no one listens." She ran her fingers along Brimstone's neck. "People said the same things about me, said I was difficult, said I needed to be corrected, like pain was supposed to make me better." Coulter stared out across the fields. "My father drank. When he was angry, he broke things. Sometimes people. I learned early that staying quiet kept me alive." Emma looked at him. "You survived." "So did you," he said. They sat together for a long time, the past resting between them, without needing to be explained further. Weeks passed into months. Emma rode Brimstone across open fields, bareback, her laughter carried on the wind. The horse moved with confidence now, not because he had been forced, but because he trusted the ground beneath him and the woman on his back. Ranch hands watched with quiet respect. No one whispered anymore. One evening, Emma came into the house dusty and tired, and found a small wooden box on the table. Inside lay a simple silver necklace shaped like a horse and a heart. Beneath it was a folded note written in Coulter's careful hand. "You saved him. You saved me. If you stay, I will spend my life making this a place where you never have to heal alone." Emma pressed the necklace to her lips and cried, not from pain, but from relief. They married quietly under the sycamore tree, by the dry riverbed where Emma had once sat shaking with fear. There were no guests. No music. Just the wind, the land, Brimstone standing nearby, and two people choosing each other without lies. After the wedding, Coulter built something new. Not a house. Not a fence. A wide stable with open sides and no locks. A place where broken horses and broken people could come and leave freely. They called it the Brimstone Sanctuary. Word spread far beyond the territory. People came from places Emma had never heard of. Some stayed for days, some stayed for months, some left lighter than they arrived, others stayed to help. Emma welcomed them all. She never told anyone what to do. She listened, she stayed. She taught them that nothing healed faster than being seen without fear. Years passed. The land grew greener. The fences grew lower. Even the air felt softer. At sundown, the old black stallion could still be seen beneath the sycamore, slower now, his eyes kind. Nearby, a little girl hummed a soft tune her mother had taught her. On the porch, a man and a woman watched, hands joined, love quiet and strong. Some things are not broken to be fixed. They are broken to be understood. And that is how they are healed.